if I remember correctly, right? Oh yeah, they're Lucio inted. My god. Yeah, oh no, maybe I didn't track this fight actually. Oh yeah, it was here. So you called to do window fire strike here, but you used it too late. So I guess yeah, this is on BAP, but just for like BAPs to be clear, you want to make sure once they've committed to taking this open space, once they've moved away from the corner, immediately place window here.
Sounds good.
And then if you of course like hold the corner like this, right? Because sometimes what's happening is you'll let them take the corner and like place window here. But then what's essentially happening is they've taken this corner from you, right? If they've got their like Rhine here, and then you're here, if whoever walks around this corner and kind of stands like this has control of the corner because they can always back up to cover. This Rhine here has nowhere to back up to. He can only go backwards. He can maybe go in there, but like, if he's beside this corner, you've taken the corner from him. So what's happening here a lot is you're giving up the corner. So you can see it happens here, which I think is just because you use window too late. Wait, they'll come up here. They've just taken the corner. Look at this Rhine. He's doing really good here, right? He's walking round, widing, which means now his team has control of the corner, and you're just standing next to a wall. So make sure to remember when you're holding a corner, you always want to be like here, not here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you're using that window as soon as they step here. Like once they're in this open bit, like right where my camera is, like, you want to be using window then, not when they're already at the corner. And then I think you win this fight because you get a good counter shatter because I think they just turn their backs to you, Magic. So that was a good shatter. Um, Actually, I'm curious. Since you guys play a lot of Brawl, right?
A fair amount, yeah.
Fair amount, yeah, yeah. So do you usually find in Brawl v Brawl mirrors you do well, or you like struggle, or is it just dependent on what team you're against?
I think it's very dependent on what team we're against, but also not really sure yet with Magic, because we haven't
Yeah, I kind of
played
have
too
off days
long.
every so often,
Yeah,
so I haven't been playing much.
yeah.
Because I don't know, Charles.
How long have you been in? Like a week, maybe. So
A week or two. I think it's 2 weeks now.
2 weeks now. Yeah. So
Okay.
for now it's still dependent on what team we go against, honestly.
Okay, yeah. Okay, okay, that's fine. Have you tried playing Brawl against any non-Brawl mirrors in
I
the
think
past week?
so. I think so.
Yeah, we might have on the likes of
Lijiang.
and maybe once on Busan.
Yeah, but I feel like we played really poorly on Lijiang.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. Do you know like the fundamental of like how Brawl like splits up into um
Three
like
different.
little units
Like
together?
the 3 different units, I'd say. Or three. Or two.
Yeah, like say there's like 3 different little units in Brawl. Who'd you say
Mm.
it was in each?
I'm
Ryan
gonna
May
say
Lucio.
Remy Lucio, yeah, that makes sense. And then Baptiste Diva. Kree sort of like. I mean, Kree can be aggressive, but Kree can also be passive, so I mean. Uh, I 100% put Ryan Lucio in one.
Okay, so mainly, and this is to do with like positioning. I don't mean like fundamentally who you're playing together, like who's going to be standing close together.
Oh,
Like if you were to like say for example you're to break down your positioning in a brawl, how would you like position? Who would be stacked together? Say for example you're stacked into pairs.
right. Oh, so in pairs?
Yeah.
I think Ryan Diva, and then it would be. It's weird because Lucio would probably be in like the in between, like
Yeah.
the DPS and the tanks most of the time.
Okay. So one of the main things is Ryan's always going to be at the front, right? He is
Mm.
the one at the front. The one who's going
Yeah,
to be with Ryan most is not Diva.
Diva
Okay.
plays with Bap, I presume then.
Well, who do you think would play with Ryan?
Well, Lucio or May.
May.
Mhm.
May and Ryan in this comp usually need to stay as a tight unit. They're the two who are going to be wanting to stay together the most. Say for example, if your team was like kind of spread out a bit, you'd have your May Ryan at the front, like and then like I'd say kind of in between. This isn't always true. I would say this is less of a positional thing, but more of a role thing. You'd have Diva and Lucio. So
Mhm.
the reason I group these two together is because Diva and Lucio generally have uh, a couple main jobs in this comp. One of them is to deal with threats who are not necessarily on the front. A lot of the time, like say for example, you're playing Brawl into the Monkey Rush, the 6-man rush, where you've got
Yeah.
say for example Reaper Sombra or Sombra Tracer or something like that. Usually what you're going to do is assign Art Diva will be on lookout for Sombra, Lucio will be on lookout for Tracer or Reaper. So they're going to be dealing with threats that comes from the side. They've also got their other jobs like, yes, Lucio will be speeding the team a lot of the time. And then Diva will also be eating spam for the team coming from the front, say for example, fire strikes. But they've also got this job of like going for little dives
Mhm.
or pressuring out angles. And then in the back, you'll have your Bap and your McCree or your Dave, whatever you want to call him.
Hey,
And
Overwatch.
the reason is like these guys are generally they never or these two groups never want to be in swing range. Only Rhine and maybe May ever want to be in swing range of the enemy Rhine.
Okay.
Um, it's also true when you're against other comps, such as like say for example you're playing against a comp like a dive comp that are going to be setting up kill boxes. So a good example of that would be, uh, say for example, on Anubis on first point. You know how there's the first platform where there's like the bridge here,
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
and then this is the attacker spawn. Say for example you're a brawl and you're holding against a double bubble, right? The monkey's going to be okay. I'm going to jump up here. Um, you only ever want your Rhine and your May. Say for example these two circles are them to be getting cleaved by the Winston. The other two groups need to be back here and not getting cleaved. So what you do is you bait your Rhine and May to take aggression, and then the other groups are there to like deal damage and do other things. So
Mhm.
against a lot of these dive comps, Rhine and May are bait because if May gets jumped on, she blocks. Rhine, he's tanky, he gets healing, he can hold a shield. You can bait these heroes. It's the same thing like I've had situations where it was actually on this point. We're coming up against a brawl team which has Zarya. And we're like, okay, they've got Grav. So what we do is Rhine and May standing at the frontier, shield, and then we've got May here. And then, our team, the rest of our cores, the two other groups are back a tiny bit behind. Still an LOS able to heal. And then we bait out the Grav. And then we don't need to use any ults to sustain the Grav, right? May just blocks, and you hard pocket Rhine through it. You can even use Lamp. So this unit is really important because you can use them as for baiting. They're also, May's going to be wanting to be right behind Rhine, so that when you're rushing onto someone, May's close to put the wall up, so that when Rhine reaches, like say for example, the enemy Rhine, the wall is up so you can swing on him. Lots of other things. So when you think about Brawl, like it's pretty good to break it up that way, as into the three different units. of like how you're playing Brawl.
Top of the morning.
And then sometimes if you're like looking at it as even further out, what you might see is you've got your main core of 5 people, and then you might have your, actually, this is pretty extreme, but I've even had the hit scan on my team. When the 5 of us are pushing here, he will flank all the way here on McCree. Like, this takes a lot of setup to do, but like he is like invested in getting big flanks. Like, this is probably pushing it a bit, but like more common examples of that would be like the first point on this first bit here, right? Your team could push up around here, and then your Kree at the same time walks around here, takes shots. Now, the important thing for you, Scratch, is never use your roll to get onto this flank. It is always to disengage from this flank. Another thing, my hit scan for my old team. Oh, sheesh. My team. We'll do is when we take the hotel, when we push out here, what he might do is push out here at the same time and have this off angle. And then if he gets pressured, he's just like, okay, I'm gonna roll back. But like the main thing is he is offering a lot more doing that than standing behind you and just shooting a shield. This is like one of the most important things about Brawl. I think it was Tayo who kind of like really popularized this playstyle before he was on the Shock. Like, he just hard flanked on McCree and Brawl. Like, he was just never with his team. And you get a lot more value, right? Because if you're, shooting into a shield, right? Round shield. If you got your Kree from the side, you've got final blow potential, right? He can pick out a headshot, he can get kills. You can play your Kree with main if you want. If you try to play for a flash on the Rhine, that'd be another good thing. But like flanks, if you learn to do them correctly, like I think to get good at them, you need to limit test and you need to call to your team when you're flanking. Your team needs to know when you're not there with them. It's really important. I've had this a lot with my experiences where the hit scan will go off on a flank and not say anything, and then you need to make sure your timing's good because your Kree needs to come in at the same time as you guys are coming in, right? Because if Kree is like, okay, I'm flanking them now, but your team's still sitting inside, what's going to happen is they're just all going to shoot at him. He's going to back out, and then you're going to push. When essentially you're just cycling who's going, right? So you need to sync it up, call, okay, I'm going to go for the flank now, and then you guys know, like, okay, let's go. Or your McCree times it with, when your team says, let's go, he's like, okay, I'm pushing out now. But make sure it's really important that you do this. Kingsrow is a lot more of like this kind of linear funneled map, where like, a lot of it is literally just tubes going in a straight line, right? There's not much flank potential. You've got the few exceptions, which is like this bit here, this hotel, potentially. But as a Kree player, I really want you to look out for these flanking opportunities and like take them. And it might be like, next scrim you say, okay, I'm going to limit test on Kree. Let your team know, I'm going to be limit testing today and find out what flanks I can get away with, what flanks are good, and see if we can do that. Because I feel like that's very important to being good at Brawl, is timing flanks. And you'll win a lot more fights off of Krees, like getting picks. Whereas usually, a lot of Brawl otherwise will be down to ult game. Whereas if you've got this Kree flanking, it's not only ult game, you've also got pick potential, which you generally don't have in normal Brawl. So does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think you incorporate that into a fight plan. Potentially, like if he's doing this hard flank, you might need to, because what happens if McCree's on a flank here, and then you say, okay, let's kite.
Yeah.
I've had that happen before, and then it's like not
Yeah,
good, because
no,
then you
no,
just
no.
leave your crew out to die, right? One thing to be wary of is as you go against more better teams, their crews will start to flank more and more. There's extra pressure on your diva then to deal with them, right? It's on diva to eat the damage or pressure them out, right? So D.Va is on D.Va a lot to scout
Mhm.
extra hard, where if the crew's flanking and then pressure him out, you can even potentially get kills, right? You can even say to your Lucio, oh, Lucio, dive creep with me.
Mhm.
If he's like on an offhand, if you're trying to kill him. You can like set up little micro dives. You guys just
Yeah.
go on someone.
Okay.
Not always, but I think that's another thing you guys can incorporate. Obviously, like hard map for it, so there's better maps for like seeing what flank potential Kree has. But maybe see that next time you're scrimming if you're playing Brawl.
Yeah, I'll focus on going no flanks.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Like I said, you can try limit test, right? Because you need to find out what's too much and then what's you can get away with more. And then sometimes it's a case of it's different depending on how good the enemy diva is, right? And if your
Okay.
diva's not checking you, you can just go hard. And then also changing it up sometimes, playing for your team, playing for like flash on enemy Rhine. Don't always do the same thing or the same flank. Okay, we can just go over the rest of this, and then I guess it's almost been an hour. Do you usually only just do an hour, right?
It depends. It's sometimes an hour, sometimes 2 hours. Depends on what Kev really wants to talk about, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we can do any questions after I've gone over the rest of the map, and then uh, any other afterthoughts I have. Okay. What time are we at now? 14:51. Uh, so yeah, this was one more. I think you had like a couple ideas where you wanted to go for like an aggressive bomb and then you charge or something like that here. But then there's a good call from Hayes saying they've got Blizz. I want to stay in mech and look for the eat. I think that was pretty good. Uh, although I would say this plan puts a lot of pressure on D.Va eating the Blizz, because if D.Va doesn't eat the Blizz, you lose. So what do you think is like another thing you guys could do here?
I mean, I can keep my amp speed.
Okay, and what would you do with the amp speed?
Well, if they use mail, we can speed out of it. Like we can maybe bait
Yeah.
them in a little bit, or
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the main thing you'd want to look for, right? So maybe you bait your Rhine and May. So your Rhine and May play a bit more forward from your team, like they are almost doing now. And then you say, okay, guys, we're going to try bait out Blizz, and then we'll speed out and kite. And then once we're out, we re-engage with bomb. That is a plan you could do here, right?
Yeah.
Um, there's obviously there's 100 different things you can do, or maybe not, but like little small things you can change about what you're going to do here. There's more than one right answer, but like that would be one thing I'd look at, right? Is okay, let's kite with speed. If they try to blitz, let's bait her Rhine and May. And then we can then look at re-engaging, right?
Could we
Uh,
also
yeah.
could we also use bomb like very preemptively, like before they reach the corner, so they can't push through it? Because I think that's going to give us another few meters and gives us enough time to remake potentially as well.
Yeah, like that's the thing here, right? They're the one under time constraint. They've got the small amount of time, so you can go hyper aggressive and force where you take the fight to be aggressive. Meaning that if they want to blizz, they might not get the touch. Yeah, so that is another option here. That's pretty good. Cause yeah, I'd say that's perfectly fine. It might be a bit harder if there's no time constraint, and then they can just back off. But yeah, this would be a good situation for it. So yeah, but like what ended up happening was your plan essentially ended up becoming, okay, we eat Blizz, which it's if you just add like the kite or let's go super aggressive with bomb, like just go to one of those two sides, then that would it would have worked out much better. Because here Blizz comes out, you don't get the E on it. It was pretty close on the E, I think, but not quite. It was quite unlucky. I think Hayes had a few blizzards that he was really close to eating this map. But it was fine. So next fight here, you notice, okay, they're holding high ground, right? So you're like, okay, let's just play below them. Which is good. But then, what else would you add to that plan? What do you think you could add to that?
Probably play under them, but on point, so they have to drop, and then we can just well, what else we have? We can probably build window. And we can just hard engage with a window
Okay,
onto
yeah,
them once they jump.
yeah. So like do a brawl window.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's something you do, right? So I think the playing under them is a okay call. Yeah, you could do that. And then I think it's just you need that tiny bit extra. Is like press tab. Okay, we're close to B. Okay, we play below them, and then we look to beat engage onto them. Or you've got Creole coming up, you got window, you can use one of those. You got that little bit of extra, but like I think if I remember correctly, you over alt because you didn't say what alt you're going to follow up with. So I guess that was one of the key takeaways I was going to give you at the end is incorporating playing slow for alts. That's another thing you can do. I don't think you did it at all, but like you might be 20% away from like a certain alt. You can play slow and try build that up, right? You don't need to engage. You can poke a bit, right? Like if you want to get beat before the fight, you can just go up on the wall, shoot a couple times, you'll get it, right? And then you can look to do something with that. So maybe look to incorporate playing slow, trying to get an ult up, and then do something with it. And then playing below, like you're pretty close to them, and you'll probably get beat before they drop or while they're dropping, so you can use that. And incorporating them means even if you don't have the ults yet, it means you're not going to accidentally use other ults at the same time. Which you'll see what's is what happens here, right? So they use beat, use lamp to live, and then you come in with your beat after. So then you counter beat their beat. That's good. And then you end up using high noon. And then I think you use window in a second. And then I think you use blizzard.
Yeah, that's all of our rolls. That's yeah.
Right?
And shatter.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And then
right.
shatter as well, right? So
Oof.
you just use 5 ults. And of course they used I think 3 ults.
Yeah.
So it's like not that much more, but you definitely could have won that with less, right?
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
you sustained the beat, then you came in for your own beat, which is really good. And then, I think maybe the window was a bit overkill. You could have gotten a bit more value from your high noon maybe, and then you might not have needed to use shatter. And the blizz was high value, but then maybe, you didn't need to use that. Just
I think the wall kind of stopped us from doing anything because it blocked our own high noon. I'm pretty sure, and our window. So even if even if that was good, then it wouldn't have won any value because the wall. If
Yeah.
you, yeah,
and then like that's one thing, right? Because like as a May player, right? I play May in my team. If my BAP wants to window, I'm not going, or I'll be careful about when I'm using my wall, right? I'll either place it behind someone we want to kill with window, or I won't use it at all. But that's if my BAP doesn't call he's using window, I'm not going to know that, or I'll need to reaction take it down, or I might not be thinking about it properly, right? Whereas if you plan it, your May thinks, okay, we're going to be using this ult, so maybe I'll use wall this way, right? So a lot of these, issues that might come up might be down to like planning, right? It's certain little things like that which can be fixed, which might not be on the person. Yeah, Raptor could have maybe noticed, okay, I'm blocking it, I can take it down. But then it might be easier for him to make that decision if he new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay,
Okay.
this fight, I think this was just another fight. You took a bit too long to make a plan. Like here, you don't really have much because you overulted from last fight.
Yeah.
So, they've got a window, Blizz, if you've tracked it properly. I can't remember if you did. So here it's kind of like, looking, you probably just need to play slow or maybe just take a dry fight. Like this is good from their Rhine, right? They use window and then just take the corner from you. Although he jumps over the Mabel. Crazy. But like that's like a good window, right? They use that to take the space and then Rhine instantly took it. So we're gonna try and incorporate more like that. Oh, that was a bit unfortunate, Raptor. I think you die. Okay, but during that built up ults, so this fight, you made a good plan. So this fight, you wanted to high noon Diva bomb. So throw the bomb behind while using high noon. Although unfortunately, you used it after or too late. So this was a case of a good plan, but the execution was a bit off. But like fights like this are fine, right? As long as you got the right plan, like mistakes like using ult second is generally just like a micro thing that someone can fix, right? So although you lose this fight, I think this was like a good job in terms of planning, right? You say, okay, let's high noon and throw the bomb behind, but then you wait a bit too long to get the high noon off, right? So like what I'd be doing right now is pressing high noon even before we're around the corner, speed boost, and then we walk around. And then we can throw the bomb at the same time. But what ends up happening is they use high noon first and walk around. And then it was a big shatter, but then, high noon broke your shield or whatever. So that was a good plan, but it was just they got their plan off before you. I wouldn't be upset about losing that fight. Also, this was good. During this fight coming up, you talked a lot about, okay, we're going to save amp for their Blizzard. Hayes called he was going to try eat it, so he's aware of it, so he's looking out for it. And then you also called, okay, we're going to use Shatter and Window. So in terms of like, saying things, that was pretty good, right? You said, okay, this is how we're going to respond to these ults, and these are the ults we're going to use. So this was a pretty good fight. Which I think you do a good window here, right? Or maybe not, right? Yeah, so you use window when they're in the open space. Maybe it could have been a bit earlier, but then you're able to take the corner with it. See, right? Yeah, you're taking the corner. But then after this, it's a bit hectic. So here at this point in the fight, when you're like waiting to get resources back, I think you need to make a new plan. Because your original plan was use window and shatter, right? But then now you've used window, and then you're about then you can take this corner for free. But what are you going to do once you take the corner? So then you probably need to make a new plan, right? So I think a good plan would be, okay, I'm going to use Blizz when we get to this corner. But then I think here we don't have much of a plan, and then I think individually people know what they do want to do, right? Because Raptor, I think you've got the idea, okay, I'm going to freeze Diva and Blizzard. But then Magic's probably thinking, okay, I want to get a Shatter off. And then there's probably lots of thoughts, and I think a lot of ults get used here. So both Blizzards come out, Beat comes out, Bomb comes out, right? I think it's a bit unfortunate. Which planning in mid fights can be quite hard to do and remember. So it's not the worst thing to forget, or you'll lose the fight because of it. But it's quite hard to remember like mid fights when a condition of the fight is changed. Okay, we need to use this ult. And then I think, is this the fight? Oh yeah, so for this fight, I think you called Scratch that you wanted to high noon and get walled up. Um, do you mean like you want to high noon and he walls you up at the same time? Or is that...
Yeah, exactly. So I get above the other Maywell.
Okay, so you get above the ever Mabel. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's just the way that you phrased it. I wasn't sure if you meant like just wall you up by default.
Okay.
But yeah, no. Like I'd maybe say a better way to use it is make you save Maywall for me if I get walled off or something.
Sure.
Just makes that a bit more clear. But yeah, so I would say speed high noon, and then save wall for me, May. But then I think the issue is by the time you make the plan of the high noon, is they've already used their high noon, right? So I think this was late planning, but if you did that a bit earlier, that would have been a good plan. So yeah, they got theirs off. So it's not because your plan was bad or you didn't do good with the high noon. I think you just needed to make the plan earlier. And then I think coming to the last fight, your plan's to high noon to break shield, and you go for a shatter. But then, unfortunately, this guy is hiding here, which was a bit unlucky. He flashes you out the high noon. You get the big shatter, but then I think they've got lamp for it, and then they eventually use window and all that. Or they don't. Oh yeah, bomb kills your BAP actually, that's it. And then I think it's just like a pretty good... Actually, they had a pretty good re-engage. That's unlucky for you guys. But yeah, no. That's the end of the map.
Right.
Oh, hello, Kev.
That
Hello.
timing.
You're...
You just came. Yeah.
Well, actually, no. It would be good to maybe get Kev's opinion on this, because we just finished going over the last of the map.
Cool.
I was mainly talking about going through each fight, because I went through and then wrote down for each fight they took what their plan was, if they had one, how they executed it, and then I gave my opinion on what I thought they should have done.
Yeah, sounds good.
So I guess, the main things was some fights you were rushing and you just didn't make a plan, or if you did make a plan, it wasn't detailed enough. There was, I think there was probably 3 or 4 fights out of the map that you did which you made a good plan. Although unfortunately, sometimes you weren't able to execute them well. But I think, that comes with time, and I think being able to make the good plan is good. I'm trying to think. I didn't really have anything else apart from that plan. Actually, I did have a couple things I wanted to mention from other maps from that day. Let me look. Yes, it was you, or this isn't related to Brawl, but this was on the other map. You were playing a Faramir. I just realized.
So, yeah, what the fuck was that?
Let me zoom in a bit. Hold up. All right, this is for my shit posting channel. Don't worry about it.
We don't judge.
Yeah. In the Faramir, in neutral, sync your Pharah taking the 1v1 with Bolt Tracer going on Anna. What's this? Pause, please. Hold up. Okay. So what I mean by that was when you've got your so say for example the enemy team has their Pharah, and then they've got their Mercy tethered to them, and actually not tethered to them. They've got an Ana, right? So in neutral fights, a very easy way when you're the ball comp. So you guys were playing a mirror Pharah of ball, right? Your Pharah wants to take this 1v1, right? And beat her, right? So let's say this: you've got your Pharah. What you want your ball and tracer to do is take the engage on Ana, but then you need to call this so your Pharah knows she should take the duel then. Because what this ends up forcing is the Mercy to choose between the two, right? I've mentioned this before, but
Yeah.
I think you guys kind of got the right idea. Like when you're playing it, you guys went for dives on the Ana, and then you're causing the pinch between the Mercy having to decide between if she's pocketing Pharah or if she's peeling for Ana. The thing you didn't get down was timing. You need to make sure you're communicating between the Pharah and the ball when you're doing it, because sometimes you had the Pharah taking the 1v1, the Pharah has to back off, or she either loses the 1v1 because they're an Ana LOS or whatever, and then after you take the engage on the Ana. So really make sure you communicate and get it timed in that, okay, we're going on Ana in 3, 2, 1, so the Pharah knows she goes hyper aggressive and forces that duel. Because then either what happens is, the duel might be neutral because the Mercy stays and you kill Ana, or the Mercy goes to peel and then you kill their Pharah, right? Because you got pocket and she doesn't. So that was like an important thing that was missing. You were getting better at it. You were like trying to do the right things. You just didn't have the timing down. And the other was you were playing a Pharah comp into 6-man with like the Monkey Diva Sombra Tracer. And I think you decided to take a couple fights with it and then slowly change off. My opinion is that you're either going to try stay for long and get ult rotations off, or change immediately. One of the two. I think the approach you took, where it's like, okay, yeah, we can take a couple fights and then we can change, didn't work well because you weren't building up to ults in your poke comp, and then you took a mirror where you had an ult disadvantage. So one of the good things about having Pharah is you can like scout really early and see what they're running, right? So you spent 2 to 3 fights transitioning. You could have won the round if you switched sooner, or much better once you were on the better matchup, right? You would have won the map, I think. I think you ended up losing, but that was only because between the two ideas, you just need to either commit to changing as soon as you see the counter comp, or just not change at all. Or it's not full counter comp, but if you're better, you can play it. Okay. So do you guys have any questions, or Kev, do you have any input?
No, not really. What was the fire comp they ran?
It was the Ana Mercy Ball Tracer
Okay,
one.
it was the ball. Okay, and you were running the 6-man against it.
Yeah, the enemies were running 6-man against it, which, I mean, if you're the better team, you can run the Pharah against it, but
6-man's pretty much, yeah, it's very hard to get much value.
yeah, you really need to be in sync with hard focusing the monkey and getting out resources before they get the dive off, which, like I said, if Raptors are pretty good Pharah, right? So if you guys are confident and feel you're better and can get this off, you can stay. But then you need to kind of commit to it, because poke is all about building up ults and using them ults to win fights. Because if you stay a couple fights and then change off, you're giving up them ults, and then you're also giving them ult advantage.
Yeah.
For the fire comp against 6-man, do I go Ashe instead? Because I don't get a lot of done with Tracer against 6-man.
If you are playing the Pharah comp,
what map was it?
I think it was Lijiang
No
Gardens.
clue.
Oh god. I don't know. That map I wouldn't be too keen to run Ash.
Yeah.
I think you say Tracer. So
Yeah.
I can go through the general way you want to beat the comp. Actually, let me get the VOD. I can find it.
Let's go echo maybe, like double fly.
Yeah, we could go double fly instead.
One comp that's not too bad if you like want to make a couple changes but keep the general play is Echo Tracer. So you just change to Echo. The reason I'd say Echo is a bit more versatile in terms of like the poke she can get in. So it's still not ideal, but it's if you're not wanting to play the mirror.
What you running on night market?
This one.
More gardens.
Right here we are.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the fire pick on this map. Like, I think there's
yeah.
a lot of comps that can kind of just team can run brawl and they just kite on point, and
Yeah.
they just force point presence, and then you're kind of fucked because ball gets asked or diva gets fucked. And then, like when they're running the diva, one thing you'll find is the Pharaoh will get marked by diva, and when she gets marked, your Ana is going to be hunted down like a fuck, like, or someone's going to get hacked and run over.
Yeah.
It's quite easy mark Pharaoh, like it's just like, and she's not, and a good team will coordinate that. So you'll notice the minute diva starts pressuring you, Farah, their team is going hard on you, hard on whoever's hacked or pressuring Ana. Because then Farah, that's the time period where Farah's getting zero value, and your diva only has so much matrix.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess to go over if you are playing this and you want to try win this, changing Farah to Echo, and then what you can do is Echo hard focuses Monkey. Like this all relies on you being able to have Monkey like constantly below half HP, right? So what you do is as Monkey's walking up, you keep spamming him. Spam nobody else. Keep Monkey low as possible. And then your Bull Tracer or Monkey Tracer, right? You're running an Ana, it would be hard to change to Monkey. You hard pressure Moira, right? And then between the two, Moira's hard pressure to keep their Monkey up, right? Because if she doesn't keep focusing heals on Monkey, Monkey goes down. And at the same time, Tracer and Monkey, right? They can like hard dive this Moira, and then if she tries to fade out, the Monkey might go down to the spam. Or if she doesn't, you can kill her, right? And then once the Moira's out of the equation, or once the Monkey's out of the equation, this comp is very brittle, and can be, you could just win this out of going for picks, right? Because this relies a lot on them being stacked and focusing one target. So that is like the one way you can try beat this comp. And it's like the same with Zenyatta comps where you're running like Zen, Bull, Tracer, Sombra even, right? That one there's less pressure on Moira, it's all just put Discord on Monkey and just put all your spam into him. You need to be pressuring him from lots of different angles and constantly. Because a lot of teams like at the moment, like Justice are really renowned for playing this comp. And a lot of teams like to run Zen comps. And that is the one thing they do. The Discord on Monkey 99% of the time pre-fight, and there's Tracer, Sombra, and Ball are always set up at different angles a lot of the time to be spamming him before they've reached them. Because if they do reach them, you probably lost, right? So your win condition is to spam at Monkey generally. And then if you're running a Monkey Tracer Echo, then you can play for pressuring the two at the same time. And it's similar to the kind of Farah situation where they have to choose between keeping someone alive or in this case keeping themselves alive.
Because you're kind of forcing their hand, like Monkey's getting, like Tommy says, Monkey's getting spammed with the, but then Moira's being forced as well to use, and she only has limited heal. Like unless she's like down damage, so like you're kind of forcing Moira, and then with G diving, it forces Moira's hand. She fades, and then like their comp kind of falls to shit then.
But yeah, actually, if I was to go over, if you're this team in this situation, if you're like the red team here, a pretty good way to stage against this is sometimes a lot of teams, especially like Owl and contenders, they'll back up into
Hey,
White
why?
Room.
Yeah.
And then wait until point unlocks, and then they won't go out till then because you don't want to give them spam for free and like get their ults up, right? Because they need to play for their ults. So like, if you're not planning on playing Fire on this map anymore or playing something like a Monkey Rush or like a Sim Brawl, they're quite popular in this point. You can just hold white until point unlocks, and when point does unlock, you just need to play point, set up turrets, or play really stacked, and then just be really good at target focus. You really need to calm that and play that properly.
Like that team is much stronger, have a way better prime presence. Like, and their team doesn't like it sucks. Like, the ball will have to contest, and you just hack the ball, and you punish who contests like with a hack. Like once you start pressure and point, like they can't how much they can do. Like it's like when like the ball has to go in, either ball fucking hints or to touch point, or maybe Tracer tries to touch point, but she has to like blink in and out. It's just you can't have to stay as a group, and this Devo would have to keep an eye on the Farah. Should be
Yeah.
looking to probably flank around behind and create an off angle for spam. But make sure then if Diva is marking the Farah again that you are common that she's marking the Farah, because like she only has so much matrix, and then that's the time Farah's out of the fight. Or if Farah is on a flank, then you can and you are do a point that you want to push on it. Just make sure that you can push then when Farah is like not in the fight.
Yeah.
But like Tommy said, they have to be coordinated about it. Like super fucking coordinated.
Definitely. So yeah, that was everything I took notes of from like that game that you played from what I saw in the VOD, and then I didn't look too much over the Anubis or the what's that other map that you played? Oh, whichever the other map was. I only really looked at this map and Kingsrow to look at your brawl, and then on this map, I think it was generally okay. I think it was just some fundamental things that you lacked an understanding to be able to break apart the comps they were running. But you were still like winning out the maps, right? And I think that was just from you being the better team. It was just some of the fundamental understanding. But does anyone have any questions about anything that's been said today, or maybe even anything that hasn't been said, and you're just curious about?
Well, one thing I'm curious about is when we're doing a Fire Mercy versus a Fire Mercy, how much does Diva want to help us win that battle? Because I feel like I'm being contested by by Divas more than by the Pharah as Mercy. That Pharah just enemy Pharah just keeps bursting me down and forcing me down. How much would Haze or our Diva want to do that? Like,
When you're running what comp? You're this comp here.
just for example,
Actually,
this kind of comp, yeah. Not
Uh,
necessarily on
And
this map or whatever, but this comp.
I think this is
and
probably the best example of it on this
Yeah,
map.
of what
here.
they're running.
Let's say just this, would they're running a similar comp or even mirror comp as to what we are running. I feel like I'm being burst down there by their diva like most
No, their
of the
diva's
time.
going to their diva's going to like pressure you when the fire is on when the fire is taking 1-1. Say fire is spamming you out and she gets it directly. Diva's going to be hounding your ass.
Yeah, because I don't
They're going to
know
be
if we're doing that enough then, because I don't feel like we are communicating with oh, that was unlucky for me, but with Hayes then enough to do that, because I don't feel like Hayes does that as much as I am being contested. Like,
I definitely say
because how
a,
much
l-
is needed? Like,
a lot of the time it's gonna be like down to a communication thing, right? Like I guess you could have it as a set play, right? Depends who your target is.
mm-hmm.
Oops. I would say as a diva player, right? His number one priority here is going to be peeling for this Anna.
Yeah.
Like their bowl and tracer, like I think Hayes kind of played like ridiculously good peeling wise this
Mm-hmm.
like map,
Absolutely.
keeping up Anna,
No,
right?
absolutely.
Because their bowl and tracer were doing a lot of pressure, which should in theory free up our bowl and tracer to go for these clinches, right? Um, I think it's a difference of whether we've got control of the point or not.
Okay.
If we are playing defensive, I think what we want to do is have our ball and tracer, right? Our ball and tracer here. We want them to match the enemy ball and tracer.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think these 1v2s scratch that you're doing at the minute, make sure that it's either if you're kind of in on your own at the minute, then you're never going to kill an Anna on your own, especially here. So, like Tommy says, you're going to have to match them.
Yeah, I think attacking. I think you avoid them here, right? I think you. Uh, I'm not sure if this is the best play, but from what I know, I think Diva peeling for your Ana here and kind of letting the Bolt Tracer have their way for a bit, and then you and Magic need to sync up and go hard on this Ana, right? And then either like I said with the thing earlier, force a Mercy to go peel, or her to feel the Pharah, right? But you need to time that with
Right.
the Pharah engage. And then that happens, meanwhile, the peel, right? So you've got your two little units, right? Pharah Mercy pressuring their Pharah, your Bolt Tracer pressuring their Ana, and then our Diva Ana trying to just survive, right? I think that is pretty good for the neutral slash attack. When you're defending the point, I think this is when you say, okay, Bolt Tracer, we're going to mirror their Bolt Tracer here, which is essentially try to force a stalemate or win the duel, where they're essentially achieving nothing, right?
But see,
And
they're going to be the ones pressuring. They're going to still be looking for dives, and you can literally just, like Tommy says, play to take that duel because you have the advantage on defense.
yeah. And then what you do there then is you can then play defensive with your Pharah, and then your Diva can then, because the Ana is going to be safer, look for these aggressive plays, right? Because if she's peeling, she can't peel for Ana and do the aggressive play. So I think on defense, what you can do is look for this playstyle where your Bold Tracer are essentially peeling for the Ana by stopping the Bold Tracer engaging on her. And then you can help the Pharah win this duel because your Pharah just plays defensive, plays inside your Ana LOS, and then you just can play for punishing the Mercy if she flies up too close, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty good two playstyles for this kind of mirror matchup, right? You've got your attack neutral, where you're trying to, you know, clinch this Mercy into choosing between Pharah or Ana, and then on the defense, you can lock up their Bolt Tracer and play for your 3v2ing their Pharah Mercy.
Yeah, fair enough. And let's say they're doing it like, okay, they're pressuring our Ana. Do I leave my Pharah or do I go for my Ana? What should be my most like?
But against what they're running, like their only person that there's a ball and a tracer going to be pressuring you. And one thing I don't know what Meep isn't on this fight, but like Anna still has nade and has sleep.
Yeah, so I should.
And one thing Meep tends to do is he tends to toss him. And like really his nade, like the only like he should be using his nade and sleep defensively against what they're running because you're not going to sleep a fire maybe in once in a blue fucking moon. And their Anna is going to be playing in a position where nade or sleep, it's going to be hard to get an angle on. But like so as long as he is nade and sleep up, Tracer comes in, gets nades or whatever, get naded, she's fucking off. She's going to recall. She's because Diva can pound her down, and ball again is quite an easy sleep. So like as long as he's kind of being smart with his resources, like I think he should be good enough. Especially with Hayes, like Tommy said, is really good at peeling.
Sure.
Because like against Tracer, like it's really easy to peel a Diva. It's just you just match your clips, and you can just nullify tracers really easily, especially with matrix management. Like matrix management, super is super important, and Hayes is getting that down really well. Like matching like the likes of the tracer and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like even there, it was a good sleep, but like there's especially here position wise, there's not much a ball tracer I don't think can do. Like the slam will come in if he gets hits the slam, he'll hit the sleep and has a nade to follow up with. It's just that you have to try kill their backline if you are playing that aggressive in the neutral.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, as for ult combos in this, I would say most of the time you nano Pharah and play for damage boosting her. That's a really good win condition in this comp.
Could I say one thing on that? The Nano Pharah?
Yeah.
Nano Pharah before the barrage. The main reason is Diva's going to be hound the Pharah. And she's going to save Matrix. But once you nano the Pharah, Diva's going to Matrix instantly. So if you nano Pharah and barrage, she's going to have her full Matrix. But if you nano the Pharah, Diva will Matrix instantly. You can spam the Diva down a bit and force her Matrix and then barrage.
Sure.
Let's be wary of that because the minute you nano the Pharah, like as a Diva player, Divas will Matrix a half the time, pretty much straight away, and use up their Matrix. Especially if you're spamming the Diva who's like pressuring you. You're forcing her to use Matrix and stuff like that. So just don't like nano into the barrage if that makes sense. Just because, especially against good Diva players, they'll be hounding a Pharah's ass once they know they have barrage, and then it's just a waste of a nano and a waste of barrage because Diva eats the whole thing. or eats the majority of it, and then she flies up into Farah's face after it for the last part, and Farah kills herself.
Yeah,
Just be careful.
definitely. Because I mean, it also depends how you're using Farah. Because I think a pretty good place on this mirror, especially what a lot of Owl players were doing, is you nano Farah, but you look to win the duel fit. Because a nano Farah plus damage boost equals 1 rocket kill. So then that makes it really easy to win a duel, right? Because he can get right into his face and just hit the 1 rocket. So I think that is like, you know, obviously you need to have a lot of faith in your like own Pharaoh to be able to hit them shots. But like I said, you can get close to them. You don't need to worry about getting hit by the rocket, because I don't think she can kill you if you're nanoed and getting healed. But then as long as you damage boost and then he hits the rockets, you can use that to win fights, win the duel, right? So I think that's a good way. And then once Farah Mercy's dead, right, then you can play defensive, Bolt Tracer, just mirror still, right? So I think it's a really good play style for nano. But then of course if they're like, you know, holding on point with another comp, yeah, going for nano Farah, forcing a DM, getting barrages out is pretty good.
Okay.
Also make sure we're never using barrage when the enemy Farah is alive.
Mm-hmm.
And we're calling it out so we can have DM ready for it.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I think it's like the main things in this matchup, and yeah, it might be good next time you're in this mirror. It'll be good to see how you guys play it. All right, does anyone else have anything, or you good?
Is it always gonna be Saturday now? Or
Oh, I don't know. What the coaches want to do. Honestly, it's whatever you guys want.
I can probably do whenever.
Yeah, I'll talk to Tommy and I'll see what days I can do.
Yeah,
Okay.
Again, so, like if I'm not around, Tommy take it like as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better
For
having
me,
the
Saturday
extra
is a bit better than Friday, but Friday is fine too. But yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Just tell me what days you guys can make and we'll schedule it, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Can sort
Thank-
that out.
Thanks for the coaching. I'm
Yes.
head out.
Okay. Yeah. No. Hopefully it was useful to you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, for sure. It really was.
Okay. Yeah. If you got any questions, feel free to DM me, especially about DPS stuff or macro stuff. But
yeah,
Sure.
that's good.
Thanks.
You.
Bye.
all right. Yeah. See you.
Okay, I'm gonna head over to the same Pax Scratch is going. So
What are you
yeah,
now doing?
Pugs.
Oh, are there bugs?
Yeah, at something. The Scratch is there, so I'm gonna head over as well.
Ah, nice. Hey,
Thanks for
fun.
the, and have a nice evening.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. See you.
Bye.
Thank you for the coaching.
No problem.
Very useful.
Yeah. By the way, if you've got any feedback